The House Republican Conference set to meet less than, 2 hours from now. This, as Eric Cantor says, he's going to stay on, as we've been telling you, till the end of July. So how will his decision to step down from his leadership position affect the GOP's legislative agenda? Yet another angle. Joining me now, Congressman Chris Smith, a Republican from New Jersey. Great to see you, Congressman. So how will it affect the legislative agenda?
Well, you know, Eric Cantor is a world-class lawmaker and a man of great integrity. He will be the majority leader until he actually steps down, and the agenda will be robust. We are, all politics is local, and this is, a day of sadness, especially for Eric, because he's such a good and trusted lawmaker. But I do think that there will be some lessons learned. In a couple of minutes, I'm convening a hearing, as I think you know, on Boko Haram, a horrific terrorist group. I just spent 4 days on the ground in Nigeria, in Abuja, meeting with those who have been victimized by this horrific organization.
Right.
So that's what the hearing will be about in a few minutes.
I'm going to give you your time on that in just a couple of minutes, because I know you want to share some photos as well. But before I switch topics, who do you believe should fill Eric Cantor's position as far as his leadership position?
Well, we have a meeting at 4 o'clock, and it'll become clear who is likely to run. Certainly the current whip, Congressman McCarthy, is in the running and probably or maybe in the lead if there is such a thing. Because very often when these changes occur, people do move up. I mean, that's what leadership is often about. People who are deputy whip become whip and the like. Well, I've been in Congress 34 years, and that's usually the way it works.
Well, how does one incident like this, though, seem to change the tide of politics? Because so much of the talk going into the midterms has been, look, Democrats are back on their heels, right? Does it change the scope of the midterm elections or not?
No, not at all. I think just the opposite. I think we will redouble our efforts. Obama remains the key issue. Obamacare is one of the worst job-killing pieces of legislation ever enacted, and people realize that. We're seeing it in my district, we're seeing it throughout the country, that it has incentivized the end of employer-based health care, the huge tax increases that have occurred, and that's just the first tranche of those who've been put into Obamacare. The global issues that have emerged. When I heard Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State, talking about how they've changed the foreign policy, I've been on the Foreign Affairs Committee for 32 of my 34 years. I chair the Human Rights Committee.
Right.
We have never been in such a morass, whether it be what's going on in Kiev and Ukraine, South China Sea with China, and of course the Middle East.
And I want to get to that now because, as you just mentioned before, you spent 4 days in Nigeria and the Boko Haram striking again. So just this past Monday, the terror group kidnapped 20 more schoolgirls, this on top of the 276 abducted 2 months ago. So you were just there. You met with one of the girls who managed to escape. Here she is. Yes. I'm showing the photo of it right now. What did she tell you?
Well, with tears and with she barely moved her body as she spoke. She sat in a chair. She was numb from the experience. She just kept saying how her friends and her classmates, she just longs to know that they're okay. She escaped very early on, and she, from that experience, has been greatly traumatized. One can only imagine what these young girls are going through, plus the 20 you just mentioned and others who have been kidnapped by this terrorist organization. And, what's often left out is that they slaughter the boys. They kill the men and kidnap the girls. I remember the woman who in 2012, and this has been going on a long time, they came to her house, shot her husband because he wouldn't convert to Islam, abducted her 2 daughters, came back 3 months later and shot her son when he wouldn't convert to Islam. They also kill Muslims who they don't consider to be extreme enough.
Right. I know you're doing a lot to try and make this all right in that part of the world, as well as on Capitol Hill for domestic issues. Great to see you, Congressman Chris Smith.
Thanks
so
Gretchen.
much.